Is the Jacory Croskey-Merritt craze about to end Brian Robinson's career in Washington? It's looking that way. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we're here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. Big day for the boys today. They're taking on the Cincinnati Bengals out in Landover at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. I assume most, if not all of us, will be tuning into that. I put out my pre-game predictions and storylines to watch yesterday, so make sure you go check that out if you want to know the biggest storylines that I'm paying attention to ahead of that matchup. But with the news kind of being put on pause because we're not going to have practice to report on or anything like that, because obviously the game is tonight, there was a really big report that emerged last night. Sunday evening, Jordan Schultz, an NFL Insider, says that the Commanders are shopping Brian Robinson Jr. around the league. Direct quote here: Washington likes its running back depth, but Robinson is available for the right price. Guys, we are going to get into that and a whole lot more. But before we do me a favor, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Join the fastest growing community in the Commanders world. Also hit the like button if you want to support me, you want to support the content, you want to support the channel, and drop your comments on whether you want us to keep B-Rob, whether you want to trade him, cut him, what you think his value is, everything related to this discussion that we are about to have. So I just want to start by saying that words have power. So when you read Washington likes its running back depth, but Robinson's available for the right price, if they're shopping him around the league, they're not fielding a bunch of calls and replying, hey, no, we like our running backs, but maybe if you get to the right price. They're actively encouraging bids from other teams. So I'm sure that they like having depth in the sense that they like having 2, 3, 4, 5 players they can trust instead of just one, but clearly they don't view their future being with Brian Robinson Jr. Now, B-Rob is a 26-year-old. He turned 26 in March. He's only played 3 seasons in the NFL. He did play 5 in college. He's a former third-round draft pick. He is on the final year of his rookie deal, scheduled to make about $3.5 million this year. I would assume that he's going to be looking for about $10 million, maybe even more average annual value on his second contract. And the Commanders clearly don't value him in that light. At the very least, they don't want to anchor themselves down to that. That's why they go and they get a low-cost pick, a 7th rounder named Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who they believe can be a legitimate contributor to the team this season. This is why they're shopping B-Rob around, not just because they think that he's bad, but they're looking at it as, do we want to have this $10 million per year cost on our team? Or do we want to lose an asset for absolutely nothing? Say, hey, we don't want to extend you so you can just go to free agency. No, they're going to try to recoup some sort of value again for this asset, for their investment, which is actually, of course, a Ron Rivera investment, but point being, he's still on the team. Now, B-Rob has been known to split opinions among the fan base. He has his stands, he has his supporters, people who stand up and say, no, he's average, if not better than average, at everything on the football field. And there's an argument to be made for that. He is consistent. He can hold up in pass pro. He can catch the ball. He can do a lot of things, again, average or above average. But he doesn't have any really elite level skills. And he doesn't have elite level production, elite level availability. The ceiling is not very high with Brian Robinson, and it's been like that for a long time. I mentioned he played 5 years of college ball. His last year was his best by far. At Alabama, he had 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. That being said, he was never really explosive in college. His yards per carry over his last 4 seasons was 4.3, 4.6, 5.3, 5.0. You get to the NFL. He has never hit 800 yards in a season. He missed 20% of games that he could have played. Granted, 4 of those to start his rookie year after he'd gotten shot, so I'm not going to hold that against him. But his yards per carry in the season has gone from 3.9 to 4.1 to 4.3, and even though he's improved, 4.3 still is not that good. Last year was a career high 8 touchdowns. I think it was 9 or 10 if you include the postseason. All but one of them were from inside 10 yards. So more proof that there's just not a whole lot of explosiveness to his game. Against 7 teams with winning records last year, He totaled 90 carries, had 41.2 rushing yards per game, 3.2 rushing yards per carry. The Commanders faced the 5th easiest run defense schedule in the NFL last year. He was 37th of 50 running backs in explosive rate, 35th of 50 running backs in stuff rate, 44th of 50 running backs with more than 1/3 of his runs going for 1 or fewer yards. So, again, he is consistent in what he does. Is what he does, is that a great way to win football games? He has a role, but he's not really driving you anywhere, is how I would phrase it. I would liken this almost to David Montgomery, who David Montgomery is a better back than B-Rob, but they're similar styles of players where if you don't have explosiveness and speed around them, it's easy to crowd them at the line and slow them down. But as soon as you add a Jahmyr Gibbs to the offense, then all of a sudden David Montgomery looks significantly better and his impact is increased. If B-Rob had that running mate and he could stay healthy and be available for these games, you would probably start to think of him in a new light. The Commanders just haven't found that player. And now that his contract is up, they aren't comfortable with paying him the money that he's going to be asking for. Again, that's what their moves are indicating to me. If you ask me personally, do I want Brian Robinson on the team? I think the Commanders are better with B-Rob than without him. Certainly, that shouldn't be difficult for us to agree with. You're better with a player than you are without them. That being said, if you can get a decent draft pick, a player, really anything for him, then I would go ahead and make the deal. I don't think it's going to be this jaw-dropping package. You're probably looking for like a 4th or a 5th round or something like that. But if that deal does come to the table, then yeah, because I agree. I wouldn't want to extend him for the money that he will most likely be asking for. So at least you would get an asset back. Now, with B-Rob looking to be on his way out the door, keep in mind, this is just a good referendum on why it's important to not jump to conclusions too quickly, and it's important not to chastise people for sharing their opinions. You remember a few days ago when I shared that Ben Standig had made the prediction that Brian Robinson would not be on the week 1 roster, whether he was traded or cut, and people were upset by that. I got a bunch of nasty comments saying, how could you possibly say this? Even though it wasn't my words, it was Ben Standig, again, a team reporter. But what if he knew this? What if he knew the Commanders were shopping him around? It's not out of the realm of possibility to assume that or to infer that a Commanders reporter had some inside knowledge that hadn't hit the public yet. What if he just knew that the Commanders were shopping him, and that's why he was confident he wouldn't be on the week 1 roster, because he knew a trade was happening? Like, it's just a good reminder that we should all be patient, not judge anyone too harshly for their opinion sometimes, because then you do get a story like that. But with B-Rob appearing to be on his way out the door, that does give more rise to the Jacory Croskey-Merritt phenomenon. For a 7th rounder who played 6 years of college ball, was ineligible for his final senior season, I can't remember hype like this. That being said, the hype, I think it's well placed. I do believe that Bill is going to be a very good player. I would love to see him play against the Bengals tonight. He suffered that shoulder injury against the Patriots. He had 1 day of full padded practice. He's been in the non-contact jersey a couple of times, really hoping that he does play. But Bill's final full season of college ball, which was 2 years ago at New Mexico, he had 1,200 yards, averaged 6.3 yards per carry, racked up 17 touchdowns. Last year at the Shrine Bowl, he was named the offensive player of the game. He had 11 carries for 90-something yards and 2 touchdowns. And all throughout the offseason, this team has been incredibly high on him. They've been speaking his praises. And it seems as if he has that explosive element to his game that you lacked with B-Rob. And again, B-Rob can be consistent. He's one of the best you'll ever see at getting 3 yards on every run, it feels like. No more, no less. Maybe 4, because he averaged 4.1 yards per carry. I don't know if Jacory Croskey-Merritt, I don't know if he has that to him, because I'm not going to lie, like, I wasn't grinding Alabama State and New Mexico film, so I don't know if he is going to be that consistent force. I don't know if drives will stall out because he loses 2 yards on first down. But as long as he continues to add that explosive element to the offense, when you marry that with Jaden Daniels just being an elite football player and also intelligent decision maker with the dual threat ability, he can beat you with his arm, he can beat you with his legs, with an improved offensive line, this feels like a way to significantly alleviate the strain that is placed on your quarterback, also placed on your your offense and your play callers on fourth down by not having to go for it so much. Alleviate the strain placed on your defense. If you have to go for it on fourth down and you don't get it and you turn it over at the 50-yard line and your defense is already set up in short field, this is how you take some of the strain off of them. The big chunk plays, the touchdowns out of nowhere, make those plays that make it easier to win games, even if it's against the flow of how everything is playing out. So what is B-Rob's trade value on the market? This is a big question, and one that I'll be honest, I don't have a definitive answer to. There's no doubt in my mind that other GMs, even ones who might be interested in acquiring him, are going to be looking at his contract and seeing that he's on the final year of his rookie deal and basically factoring in that, okay, if we trade for him, we have to extend him because otherwise we just blew an asset for 1 year of football, maybe even less, depending on when this deal gets done. So they have to have it in their mind. They're committing to $10 million or whatever it is per year, plus they're giving the assets up to give him. So that's why I do view this as like a fifth, sixth, maybe even seventh round draft pick that you would get going the other way for B-Rob. The teams that I think could be interested in him, and this has not been reported anywhere. This is not inside information. Just me looking at the general landscape of the NFL. Who do I think could actually use him? I was speaking about David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs earlier. I do think the Chicago Bears are an interesting team. We know that Ben Johnson wants to have this split back system. We also know that he's not a big fan of DeAndre Swift because the Lions traded Swift out when Johnson was there. Swift currently projected to be the number one running back on the Bears depth chart. They do also have Roschon Johnson and Kyle Monangai. I can never remember how to pronounce his name. But the Bears could be interested in upgrading that room, so I think it makes sense for them. Also, you want to get more weapons to support Caleb Williams in that young offense. Believe it or not, the Dallas Cowboys, they're a team that could definitely use him. Their lead back, Javonte Williams, hasn't averaged 4 yards per carry in 2 straight seasons. Jaden Blue, who's their rookie running back from Texas, I've heard that he's had some nice days of camp, but he was like the 3rd or 4th best running back on his own college team at Texas, and I don't know how he's going to do. And then Miles Sanders, they've also got in the mix. Miles Sanders last year in 11 games had 205 yards. The season before that, 16 games, 432 yards. He also hasn't averaged 4.4 yards per carry in 2 straight seasons. So I definitely think that B-Rob would significantly elevate that Cowboys running room. And then the San Francisco 49ers. I wanted to put them here because Christian McCaffrey, man, I have no faith, and I don't say this maliciously, but I have no faith that he's going to be healthy for another entire season. He's been injury prone throughout his entire career. He had stuff going on with his calves and Achilles, both sides, both legs last year. That's pretty scary. We know that it's a very run-heavy system they employ out there in San Francisco. And the rest of the running back room, Isaac Guerrero, Jordan James, B-Rob is better than those players. And if they're going to continue to have this run-heavy style, they need somebody who's going to be able to take the wear and tear and hold up a bulk of the carries and also maybe alleviate some of the strain off of Christian McCaffrey's shoulders so that he's less likely to suffer an injury. So those will be my top 3 teams for B-Rob: the Bears, the Cowboys, and the Niners. Which of those are the most likely to trade for him? I don't know. That's a complete unknown. And honestly, we might not get an indication of who's trying to trade for him until a trade actually happens, assuming one happens at all. But Brian Robinson Jr. apparently might be the newest commander to make way for an up-and-comer in Jacory Croskey-Merritt. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Make sure you go down to the comment section. If you can't tell, something's going on with my throat. I think I'm fighting a bit of a sickness, but I tried to power through. Hopefully it wasn't too big of a distraction. If you guys did enjoy this video, do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button. Again, go to the comment section. Do you want to keep B-Rob? You want to trade him? You want to cut him? What's his value? All that great stuff. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for the Commanders playing the Bengals tonight. I'll be coming out with a game reaction afterward. But as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.
Chew it,